Joining me now are the two candidates to represent the first ward on Mansfield City Council. We have Republican Michael Miranda and Democrat Amber Thompson. Now, whichever one wins, we're going to have a new face on council. Current ward councilman Laura Burns, who's had that seat since 2020, is not seeking re-election this year. This is the first time either of these two folks have sought a seat on City Council, so we're welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, I'm going to start this a similar pattern, a series of questions. We'll take turns on who gets to answer first. And let's start again by giving each of you just a few minutes to tell us about yourselves and why you'd like to be elected to represent the first ward on City Council. And Michael, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Rich and Source, for having us. I moved here in 1999 from California. A bit of a shock of change, but a delightful change, and I wouldn't change anything I've done. You couldn't pay me to move back to Los Angeles, just to be clear. But oddly enough, when I first moved here, Mansfield had a very similar outlook of where I grew up in Pasadena was when I was in high school. A lot of closed businesses, boarded up businesses. Through the course of time, they've done a wonderful job down here in revitalizing it and going into a good direction. So as life has come upon me, I ran for Charter Review Commission a couple years ago and thought to myself, you know what, that made me feel good, but you really didn't have much input or say-so on a day-to-day basis of what goes on in the city. So as a local business person involved with a board for the local Shriners, Middle Ohio Youth Mentoring, and several other organizations that I try to help as we can. It came to me, you know what would make me feel whole, would make me feel good, is to be able to do something good for a community that's been very, very good to me. The one big difference I'll share with you from Pasadena to here, people are nice here. It doesn't matter what side you're on, what race, religion, people are all nice to each other. We have a very good community here. People really come out and help and support each other. So it was a neat thing for me to say, you know what, after my beloved gave me the blessing, of course, because I wouldn't do anything without my wife's blessing. Thank you, dear. I thought, you know what, I'm going to take that journey, the next journey in my life and move on and run for City Council and be able to have some good input into the city. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Let's hear what everybody's got to say. Let's communicate. We all have to, everything comes down to communication, negotiating, and making a compromise and then making a decision. I've got a lot of experience in the business world. Kids are a soft spot in my world with what I do on charitable events. So I'm thinking, you know what? This would be a real neat way to make me feel whole and feel good that I'm helping others in a more impactful way.
Thank you very much, Mike. Amber, same question to you. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Mansfield. I've lived a little bit all over, but I've spent most of my life in the first ward, and I really just love it over there. I graduated in 2019 from Mansfield Senior High School, and I obtained my bachelor's degree in Science of Public Health from Kent State University. I'm currently a candidate for a master's degree in Business Administration. One of my favorite things to do is learn. I've never ran for a political office before, but I'd love to learn everything that I can to do what I can for my community. I want to engage in as much of my community as I can. In my personal role for my career, I'm a community health worker, so one of the things that I do is I engage with the citizens of Mansfield to help with their social determinants of health, so those who struggle with transportation, housing insecurities, food insecurities. It's my job to help get them to where they need to be so that they're stable enough to enjoy life, have a quality of life. I want to be able to help everyone in Mansfield, of course, but since I'm running for the first ward, I want to take pride in my area and help secure my community, absolutely.
All right, thank you, Amber. And we'll start with you this time. As the elected representative of the first ward, what will be your specific priorities in terms of serving the residents of that ward? Maybe things you've seen that haven't been addressed. And please, again, be specific as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I noticed that has affected our community the most is violence among the youth. I feel as though I'm closer to the age demographic of the seniors coming out of high school, I can relate to them a little bit more, get them engaged in the community, get them engaged in activities that can keep them busy, keep them engaged in Mansfield, let them learn to love their community. Like Phil said, they're going to college and they're leaving. I was one of those college students that didn't want to come back. But I ended up coming back because I realized I loved my community. It's a great place to live here. Another thing is letting out love for local businesses. I feel like there's so many business owners and they need a time to let their business shine. I mean, with all the construction going on downtown, absolutely, we're making it beautiful, but then these businesses are losing out on their shine. We need to be able to let them grow and let people know the services that they can do, where they are, who's owning these businesses.
All right, thank you, Amber. Mike, same question for you.
So we all touch base on growth and the well-being of good jobs and retaining jobs, and quite frankly, that's an important part to Mansfield. The first ward is primarily residential. We have some economic impact there, but we're primarily residential. How does that affect us economically? Well, we need to make sure that the whole city is doing good, but we do have to have a focus on the first ward, but knowing that the first ward is touched by all other wards. So we need to make sure we're making good, solid business decisions. So making a decision that might be a business in the third ward or an event in the second ward, that impacts all of us. So we need to make sure that we are making good, solid, fiscally responsible decisions, because what affects the first ward does affect us all. We do have to make sure we take care of our ward first, but we are all interactive, we're all intertwined. So when we do look at the economic impact in Mansfield, yes, we have lost a lot of businesses. Are we going to get another Westinghouse or a Tappan or a GM to come here? Realistically, no. God bless if it happened. But getting those smaller businesses that have 50, 100, 200, 25, getting those businesses to come here, it gets us a good foundation of being able to then expand our economic base. But also now we go back to, back to that common saying, oh, all our kids graduate and never come back. Or, no one ever moves here because Mansfield's in the dumps. Well, Mansfield's not in the dumps. All you have to do is look, and you can find a lot of neat things to do, a lot of neat activities. We have art, we have theater, there's a lot to do if you just get this fella and look. So, working on that growth part, that we're going to grow our economic base, keeping what we have as best as we can, and getting people to move here is important. And that comes back to looking right, being right, and having the right structure.
All right, thank you, Mike. We'll start this next one with you. One of you two is going to be representing the first ward when council meets in January, and I'm going to get to sit in the front row and listen to what you say and do. So I want you to tell me, as you prepare to be on city council, what would you do differently than what you've seen city council do in the past? And Mike, we'll start with you this time.
I think the most important thing, being the new person on council, the folks before us, already there, well-versed, know what goes on, know the ins and outs, limited things you can learn by sitting or listening to the chambers. But again, I think listening first and listening to the people, listening to community leaders, the decisions we would make impact everybody. So it can't be just what my feelings are. My feelings are what they are. But I also need to make sure that we have a good balance with what we have in our community, because our community is a lot of different people. It's not just Mike, it's not just Scott, it's not just you, it's everybody. So knowing what makes the community tick, I think would be a very important factor. Starting off, not knowing all the ins and outs, all the committees, listening, learning, and retaining what's going on, and listen to the people.
Very good. Amber, same thing for you. When you take your seat in January, if you win the election, what are you going to look to do differently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be 100% transparent. I have not had the chance to make it to any city council meetings with me being in school. A lot of times my classes are on Tuesdays when the meetings are being held, but I do review the minutes. And when I review the minutes, I read the conversations that are being said, and I do feel as though if I were to take the seat, one thing that I would do is always hold my constituents' opinions in mind. Their opinions are what matters when I'm making decisions for my ward. Their opinions are what would hold my values to. I would like to align myself with what my ward is feeling. So the biggest thing that I feel like I would like to do is just get acquainted with everybody on council so that I could know how things are operating and then know where I would stand with a lot of situations.
All right, thank you. Amber, we'll start with you this time. There was some discussion a little bit ago about the council's role in determining the city budget and how the city spends money. Now, the mayor submits a budget every year, but it's up to council to approve it. If you're elected, what do you think your role is in helping the administration create a budget that will best meet the needs of the people in your ward? And if you have specific examples of things that you would request or require from the mayor and finance director in terms of the budget process.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things would be to thoroughly review the budget before anything is approved, 100%. You need to know what is in there, what is being approved, why it's even in there in the first place. Something that I would like to advocate for is we have a huge homelessness crisis in Mansfield right now. I don't know if you drive downtown, you can see several people who are there every single day, and something that I would like to do is to address that issue and put in something in the budget to create an area for them to be able to be housed safely. That's something that's really big in my heart. But in terms of like getting the budget through, it would really be just to review the budget as thoroughly as possible, making sure that you are knowing why everything is stated.
All right, thank you. Mike?
We have to live within our means. As we've talked about growth and maintaining businesses and all that, our tax base is what it is. What we have is what we have. So at that point, the budget's got to reflect what we have to work with. And that means, as Phil said, it's not a matter of, oh, here, I'm just going to put that and let somebody else do it. Or, you got to line by line it. You've got to look at everything, every expense. And that's where, how do you eat that elephant is one bite at a time. And how do you blow a budget is one line at a time. If you're spending a little too much here, a little too much there, and there's no accountability for it, then you get yourself into the situation we were in. We are in a very good path nowadays. First time in years that Richland County's actually had a growth in population. We're going in the right direction. We are doing very good. We just need to make sure we have people in office that are going to maintain that path and make everything accountable and manage.
All right, and we'll close with this. And those of you running for council, you'll probably get your chance to answer this. So if you want to start thinking about it now, because we're going to talk about the municipal parking lot again. You thought it might be a topic, and of course it is. All right, so I'm not going to do the complete rehash of what I just talked about, but if there is a plan to develop that parking lot in the future, would you be in favor of that? And if so, what sort of development would you favor? And if not, why not? And Michael, we'll start with you.
Everything in life is an option, and it's about making the correct decision to have the right options out there. Is that parking lot off the table and nothing can be done? That would be a silly thing to say. With the right proposal, the right structure, is there if you go up by across from the Cleveland Clinic, they've got businesses with parking above. Do they have businesses in the front with parking in the back? Parking is crucial. We have to have parking. Before you take a spot, we probably need to have a plan for that spot, and maybe, okay, if we're going to take one, we have to have two created. But that's all about putting a plan together that's logical, makes sense, and keeps us going in the path we are going. Taking all the spots without a plan, and I'm sure there was a plan. I wasn't privy to them, and I don't know them. But I would think with the right plan, there's a lot of real estate down here in the carousel area that things could be developed. I mean, we have a lot of potential for development here, whether it's apartments above some of these businesses, additional parking in the other lots. I mean, we have just a plethora of options that we could explore to make the downtown area thrive again. And again, it starts with the downtown area. If we look back at you and I have a business out of state and we're thinking of coming somewhere, what's the first thing we do is we look at the city. Oh, that looks bad. Well, let's go to the next place. Now, if you sit there and look at what this Mansfield downtown is going to look at, guess what? Now we're going to start hitting pages. We're going to start looking other places. So that parking is kind of a key component, but there should be options out there that we can do to develop the rest of it and make the rest of the community grow and thrive.
All right, Mike, Amber, same question for you. What do we do with that parking lot, if anything, or do we just leave it the way it is?
Yeah, so I would say that if development were to come into, like Mike was saying, to have a plan to move forward. So if you're going to take that parking lot, then have a plan to invest into another one. Like one of the biggest events that happens downtown that I always hear about, Final Friday. Where do people park during Final Friday? That parking lot. People look forward to Final Friday because they know that it's easily accessible to get down there because the parking lot is right across the street. So if we were to develop in that area, then it would be nice to, like Phil said, have a parking garage there with businesses down below, or even relocating the parking lot not far from there. But you can't please everybody. Everybody's going to have an opinion. So just taking in people's opinions for consideration.
Wait, everybody has an opinion in this town?
I never heard of such a thing.
All right, we're going to stop it there. Looking at the timer, it's telling me we have to move on. Thanks to both of you for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.